Investing can be scary. Where do we put our money? What if we lose money? For a lot of us that have never done before, like I said, it can be a scary time. But in today's video, we're gonna talk about how you can just take $100, which most people can come up with in some way, and where you can invest that money and actually get some type of return on it. Now, nothing's guaranteed, but definitely these 5 ways we're gonna talk about here are great ways to be able to try to get started with investing with $100. And we're gonna talk about one way that I definitely would not recommend. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Nate. If this is your first time with us, thanks for being here. And this is where we like to talk about investing, personal finance, and everything, and talk a little bit about my journey as well along the way. The first way that you can invest $100, and I have to put it out there, and sometimes this is just oversaid sometimes, but I can't not list this one, and that is you got to have money in the bank. Talking about the good old emergency fund, rainy day fund, however you want to look at it. Now, is $100 enough inside of emergency fund to be your whole emergency fund? No, it's not. But if you have no money in the bank at all, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, which 78% of Americans are still living paycheck to paycheck. Now think about that. If you're sitting in a room with 10 people, 8 out of the 10 of you sitting there are living paycheck to paycheck. Probably couldn't even handle much more than $400 of an emergency that happens. Starting an emergency fund is probably the best way that you can start with $100 if you have nothing in the bank. Now, there are a lot of places you can open an emergency fund, and we're not going to go into every single one here. That's not what this video is for, but definitely having the money in some type of a savings account or having it even under your mattress so that it's just going to sit there. And while I'm the type of person who likes to invest and I like to look for new ways to invest and I don't like money just sitting there, I do have an emergency fund because you just never know when life's going to hit you in the face and you want some type of cushion there that can help you when you fall. Okay, the next one here we're going to talk about high interest debt. Okay, so the next one here we're going to talk about is high interest rate debt. Now, when it comes to debt, there's a lot of opinions out there on the internet and books and everything else you can read on good debt versus bad debt. You know, some people believe that you should have no debt at all. Some people believe that, you should leverage a lot of debt. But I don't think anyone out there would say that you need high interest debt. High interest debt, I would say anything above 6 to 7%. And so, let's take credit cards, for example. The average credit card today carries $6,000 worth of charges on it at any given time, and also carries an 18% interest rate on that money. And so there's also, obviously other loans that could be high as well, but credit cards are definitely the worst ones. So if you have $100 to invest and you're looking to do something, you have got to invest in basically paying down that debt. Because it doesn't matter how much you put in the stock market, even on the bull run that it's been on, you're not going to be able to make the same gains in the sense that you need from getting rid of that high interest debt. Number 3, invest in yourself. I cannot say this enough, and you will hear this many times throughout this channel. You've got to invest in yourself. Now, the great thing about today's world is there's so many affordable options for that. So while previously $100 wouldn't have bought you a lot if you're thinking of going to college or even going to some type of trade school, nowadays, there's so many things you can do. There's so many courses, places like Udemy and other courses that are offered, and usually they have sales going on all the time for $10 to $20 for a course, and it's just so much easier to learn new skills than it was in the past. And then another big one is books. You can get a book for $10 to $15 or less, and then you can absorb so much information from that. I mean, right here. And this is a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Most people who get into investing or real estate definitely end up reading this. It's kind of the Bible of the initial building assets and different things. But I'll see right here, I got this book on sale, at a thrift shop for $2.99 is how I paid for it many years ago when I bought it. So that's one way to do it. The other thing is that you can go to the library, right? Nowadays, there's a lot of online resources through the library as well. So you can get a library card and then just go online and get Kindle books or different things like that. And then obviously you have free education such as, YouTube and things like that. But even just spending a little bit of money to kind of get the course you want is very accessible. And so definitely buying a book, buying a book like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, these all fell over here. But buying a book like this can pay you dividends and pay for itself more and more than you would ever imagine. Okay, the next one we're going to hear is we're going to talk about investing in an index fund or an ETF. So an index fund is basically, it is a mutual fund that buys a multitude of stocks all at once. And obviously every time you invest more money, it buys more of those stocks. And it basically does it for a low cost for you. And then basically that compared to like an ETF or exchange traded fund, which they're kind of similar, but basically they both buy low and they track what's called the index. And basically, the index is the stock market, or there's different indexes that you can track, but you can just get all the different big brokerages out there, such as Vanguard. They have their version of the total stock market, or Fidelity has theirs. And basically, you can buy into them, and even for $100 nowadays, you can usually buy some type of ETF or fractional share, which basically says instead of buying one whole share, you can buy just a fractional portion of it, and it instantly diversifies you. And that's the biggest thing is the low cost, but also, like I said, the instant diversification. Because if you're buying a bunch of individual stocks, it can get very expensive trying to buy a multitude of stocks to be diverse. You only have $100, and it's not going to make a lot of sense probably to buy $5 into each little stock. It makes more sense to spend the $100, buy the S&P 500 or buy the total stock market. Like I said, instantly diversifies you and gets you into the game right away. Along these things, if you're looking to actually get into the stock market, this is the way I recommend you go with that first $100. Okay, this next one here. So, you could do an index fund or an ETF, but this one we're going to talk about here is investing with a Robo Advisor. Now, certain places like Vanguard and Fidelity, they have their version of Robo Advisor, but there's also kind of the ones that are more out in front and all they do, and that's would be Betterment or Wealthfront are the two biggest ones. And pretty much what a Robo Advisor is you put your money in to them, and then it basically you answer some questions about your age, what your goals are, what your risk tolerance is. And then they will kind of calculate where you should be invested at. Now they do take, a little management fee on top of it, but it's much less than having an actual advisor. And, they still put you in some good funds, some index funds usually, and things like that. And then basically they will help adjust your investments as you continue to get closer to your goal. Maybe if it's a retirement, if you get closer, they want to make your stuff a little bit less risky. Or if you're saving up for a certain down payment on a house and you're getting close to that timeline, they'll adjust that as well. And so it will automatically do that, and it'll update it. And you go in there and kind of change your questionnaire and kind of update your preferences as you go along. But it's kind of a way that if you want to kind of get into the market, but you don't really want any hands-on, you just kind of want to put it in there and kind of have something move around, but not pay for some type of actual financial planner, you can definitely go with it. Robo Advisor, like I said, using Wealthfront or Betterment are two of the big ones, and I'm sure there's other ones out there that you can look at as well. Okay, before we get to the last one here about what you should not do, make sure you like this video, share it with your best friend over a cup of coffee when you can, and tell him, hey, check out these ways that we can invest money. And then he'll probably be like, well, should we stop drinking this coffee? Because that could have been the money we could have invested. I'm not telling you that what you should do, but something to keep in mind. I would be remiss about doing a video about where investing your money without not giving you at least one nugget about not investing it. And so I have to talk about the dreaded penny stock. Now, if you're not familiar with penny stocks, basically they are, on the stock market. You will go on in there and you'll see the big companies. If you were to go on to any of the stock market websites, Yahoo Finance or anything, and you type in, Apple and those big ones, and they share for hundreds of dollars, right? They trade for hundreds of dollars. Well, then you have what's called a penny stock. And basically it is a very low, volatile, it could be at 50 cents all the way up to, $9 worth of a penny stock. And what people try to do is they basically try to stuff a lot of money into that. So hey, I can go here and I can buy a whole bunch with my $100, and hey, it's going to go up, and I think I'm going to make a lot of money off it, right? Well, for a lot of people, it basically turns into some type of gambling. This is definitely not where you want to put your money. Now, down the road, if you want to get into some penny stocks and kind of have a little portfolio that you do with that, have at it. Have a little bit of fun, have a little bit, a little more risk there if that's what you like to do. But if you're trying to get your financial future together and you're trying to really invest that first $100 into something that's going to grow and something many years from now you're going to look back and look as a respected decision, definitely stay away from the penny stocks. Choose any of these 5 things we talked about here. Obviously, I kind of give you a roadmap that you may want to use, but using any of them will definitely benefit you in the long run. So there are many ways that you can invest $100. Now, if you are looking to get into some type of index funds, we did do a video talking about getting started with Vanguard, which is one of the investment brokerages that you can get started with if you're trying to invest in an index fund. So we'll link that video right over here for you to go to check out. If you got value out of today's video, drop it a like, hit the subscribe button. My apologies to Graham Stephan, we ran out of time, but please go check out this video and we'll see you right over there.